If you had to get a health check before you traveled, would you cruise? Welcome to Wild Cruising. With the advent of the new health checks prior to the cruise industry shutdown, one of the requirements was getting a doctor's note saying you are fit to travel if you are over 70 years of age. Let's talk about getting a health checkup before you cruise. Prior to the shutdown of the cruise industry, cruise lines started requiring a certificate of health saying you are fit to travel from your doctor before boarding a cruise. Would you be willing to get a checkup for your health before you cruised? Now, let's be honest, we've all seen people getting on the cruise or on our cruise that you've wondered to yourself, should they be on here? They don't look healthy enough to be on this cruise. I think anybody that's cruised more than once has probably been through a medical emergency, potentially a itinerary change due to somebody having a health crisis on board. Now, maybe these are completely random, couldn't have been prevented, but perhaps the upside of requiring health checks before boarding a cruise is maybe people that really were at risk of having a heart attack or should not have been getting on a cruise ship may be prevented from getting on. Would this be beneficial to everybody involved? Maybe they would get the health care they needed. Maybe they didn't realize they had an imminent health crisis about to unfold, and going to the doctor within a couple weeks of their cruise brought this to their attention and was able to help them get it corrected. And the benefit for the people on the boat is maybe there'll be less interruptions with the planned activities for the thousands of other people that boarded the boat safely and healthily. Do you think this would be a positive to have health checks before boarding? Or is it unfair for those with conditions who do really want to take a cruise, even though they know full well they do have these health conditions, but nothing they can do will change them, so should they still be allowed to vacation with the rest of you? Obviously, the logistics of boarding will have to change in the future no matter what, at least in the short term. The idea of having a health questionnaire, which has traditionally been the case, that relies 100% on the honor policy, is probably not going to pass muster going forward, at least for a while. Let's be honest. If you were feeling sick the day before your cruise and you showed up and the questioner asked you if you were feeling sick the day before your cruise, would you say, yes, I am, even if you thought, okay, this thousands of dollars I've paid, let's say you paid $5,000 for your family to go on a cruise. By answering yes in that questionnaire, you run the risk of being denied boarding and all of your money forfeited. Would you answer yes given that scenario, even if it was putting other people at risk? You may think to yourself, well, I just had the cold or the flu and, everybody's going to get it eventually anyway, but just the standard cold. Would you be willing to go get everybody else sick with the standard cold just because you didn't want to lose your money? And honestly, I'm not judging. I think faced with the same dilemma, if you thought I just had a cold, would you sacrifice all your money and your family vacation over a cold? Probably not. But the forum is hopefully getting people to be honest. And my point is to illustrate, in most scenarios, people probably would not be forthcoming. So what do they do going forward? Obviously, something has to change. So in conjunction with the health check that might now be mandatory, and honestly, it probably shouldn't just be for people aged 70 and older. It seems a bit discriminatory, and honestly, we probably could all be going to the doctor a little bit more than we do. Prior to moving outside the United States for my primary residence, I never went to the doctor unless I absolutely had to go to the doctor. Now living in an environment where healthcare is free and going to the doctor is really no big deal and runs pretty efficiently, I go to the doctor much more regularly at the sign of anything for a checkup because it's just painless and it's free. Would you be okay having your temperature checked and perhaps antibody or checks for viruses prior to your boarding? Honestly, this is probably going to delay boarding and make it much more of a process. Sometimes it can already be a lengthy process to get on board a ship. But this may just become a new reality, and at the end of it, if you have to spend a few extra hours in the boarding process, maybe the peace of mind that comes from that, knowing that everybody going on board is most likely in good health and not sick, may make you be able to relax that much more on your cruise, knowing you're surrounded by other healthy individuals. What do you think? Would you be willing to go through a few extra steps to get on board a ship with a little bit of peace of mind, knowing that everybody on board passes a base level of health check and maybe prevents you from diverting your itinerary? What do you think? Do you think this is too draconian? Do you think this is going backwards? Or do you think this is going forward? Please let us know. Obviously, things are going to change. What would make the most sense for you to help us get back into the oceans quicker? Please leave your comments below. Like and subscribe if you can. Hope that you're all staying safe and hope to see you out on the seas real soon.